Welcome everyone to another London session on TopstepTV. We do have Coach Ray with us today, so very pleased to see him again. I know a few of you were asking for him, so here he is. Good
Yes,
morning, Ray, or good
in the
evening in your
flesh,
case.
in the flesh.
Yes. How are you
AI
doing?
generated.
How are you doing this morning?
Oh, I'm doing well, doing well. Yeah, good to be looking at the markets and in a session that I normally don't look at. So it's always good to get some experience with it. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Excellent. All right, so we have a question from Paul H.
Already.
He says if you get the time and you feel like it, oh, we always feel like it. Would you mind going over volume profile and how you would use it for range trading? I think it would be good info. And he says yes, my kettle is on too.
Oh, okay. Oh, so he's ready
He's
for some
ready.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a volume profile, as you know, I guess for me, I guess if I would, I'm not, I would say range trading is not necessarily my forte, but I'm more of, I guess, momentum trader. I would say that if I were to use volume profile, I would use the volume profile edges, right? Edges of volume profile for areas for reversals, right? So I would go if I'm in a range mode, then I feel like I'm in a range. Then the idea is anytime we get inside any sort of area of low volume, the expectation is that it would reverse the other direction and remain in value, right? So that's how I would. I'm just going to maybe see if I can bring it up. No, that's be well. Uh,
And would you use regular trading hours for that, just a fixed range, or something lower time frame?
um, that's a good question. I don't. I think mid range. I think would be more reasonable to track that. 15-minute chart. I usually spend most of my time on a 15-minute chart. It's rarely I drop to a 2-minute. Well, not rare. I use that for sort of more of a timing kind of mechanism
Yeah.
to get my entries and my exits. Right. I don't want to. I want to make sure I get in at the right time, and I want to make sure that I don't overstay my welcome.
Yeah,
Kind of how
especially
I
on a
use it.
range day.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So volume profile. Again, if I can bring up my uh, this Topstep X is still a relatively new kind of
New,
platform.
yeah.
Um,
It's called volume profile fixed range, and then I think you can drag. It's in the indicators.
I was in the indicators. Okay.
Yeah, so just go volume and then just type it in because there's a million things in there. And then fixed
Okay.
range. Yeah, and then
So
you can kind of pinpoint where you're gonna snipe it from, up, down.
okay. So let's start with maybe yesterday's start of session. Our Bob would probably be around this time here. Drag that to right about there. And that's a little funky volume profile.
Yeah, B shape. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a bit of an
So,
unwinding because it was the inventories,
so
wasn't it?
yeah. So if I felt this was a range, and I don't think this is a range, I feel in this particular case, I feel RBOB is kind of making a push higher. I would be drawing lines at the edges here of value to offer me locations, reference levels for reversals.
So basically, looking at that belly
Yeah,
distribution
that's my
curve,
range.
and that would be
Yeah,
your range. Yeah. Why? Because we built volume in there, which means that we spend
correct.
time. So that's the
Correct.
that's the whole
And that
idea.
by definition, that's range, right? That's the range. That's where price is spending the most time, right? So anytime we get to the edges, the expectation is that would be the location where we would want to execute some sort of reversal,
Yeah. So
right?
we have Ajaz in the chat this morning. Now I don't know whether you remember because Ajaz was the market stalker in the portal around about the same time that you were.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, so I don't
I
know
don't,
whether you
I
remember
can't
him.
say that I do, but
Yeah.
yeah,
There were
it's
quite
been
a
a
few
while.
people in there back
Yeah,
then.
yeah.
Yeah, but he remembers
The
you. He's like, I think I remember Ray from, and I'm
yeah,
like,
no,
yeah, same guy.
the person that remember quite a bit is Tron. Is it Tron?
Uh,
He
God,
was
no.
somewhere in he was Tron. Yeah, I think it was Tron. Oh, okay.
Yeah, was he in Asia somewhere?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. He was
yeah,
good.
and I think you even had an interview with him at some point on the portal.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're
it's
talking
Tron.
about Boyson, I think.
Yeah, possibly,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
possibly.
Boyson still lives in Taiwan, but he is. It's actually weird. He's from, like his parents are Turkish, but he
Yeah,
was born and
exactly.
raised in Netherlands, I think,
Yes,
and then he moved to Taiwan.
Taiwan of all places. Yeah.
Yeah, he's still trading. Yeah, he's.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
know. I mean, he was when I first joined Topstep. I mean, he was like a regular attendee. I haven't seen him as of late, maybe because of the difference in time zones.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, no, he was like pushing me and encouraging me and all these kinds of things.
Yeah,
Uh,
he's a great guy. He's
yeah,
very positive.
yeah, yeah,
Good.
exactly,
Yeah, always
exactly.
asking a lot of questions. Wants to know
Yes,
everything. And really,
yes,
we have a question about the VIP experience here, and it kind of ties into that. Maybe we can
sure,
talk about that because I don't know how many
sure.
people know, but Ray actually ended up like you were working with me as a coach in the Marcus
Hmm.
Stalkers
Hmm.
on the Marcus Stalkers side, and
Yep,
then you went over to Topstep. Now we've both
right.
been in with Topstep for a very long time, and it was just like nice to see you go from a trader to a coach and then to a
Yeah,
Topstep coach. It's just like
yeah.
so amazing. But people have a question here. There's Eric
Sure.
M says, Eric 1M, in your
Uh-huh.
experience as a session one VIP coach, would you say, what would you say caused most traders to both succeed and or fail the accounts? It's a very good question.
Um, well, I think the biggest thing that I found in working with the VIP members, the ones that had success already had a pretty good process. And one of the reasons I really fought to change my name because they called me Stop 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 Hunters was my
Stop
original
hunters,
name.
yeah. Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I said, look, I really want to change my name to Mindset Hunters because a lot of what I did and a lot of the work I worked with was around the mindset, right, in trading because I find that we are too, I would say, open to do a reset, right? And so over leverage the account, either we make it big or lose big. That's the approach that we took. So I found that the traders, one, their willingness to and open to receive feedback, I think is one for those that kind of really embrace the program, and then their willingness to maybe deleverage a little bit, right? And maybe taking them maybe a little bit longer to get to the finish line, right? Instead of trying to rush there in 3 days, right? I think that was probably the biggest thing that I work with and on the traders that I work with, and those were the ones that found the greatest amount of success. It's the traders that wanted to pass the combine in 2 days. It was the traders that wanted to pass the combine in 2 days. Were over leveraging, five lock, whatever it is, and trying to get it and trying to get to that finish line faster than they needed to. So
Yeah, that's my experience in my coaching as well, and I've already seen it in my VIP group. And if you can hear dogs barking, just to let everybody know, I have a plumber in the house, so it's another one of the chaotic days, and we've got about three barkers that are just very upset that they can't go and yeah, so you can hear Bernard, Bon, and Seven. So let me see if I can deal with that for a second because this is going to get very annoying for both Ray and myself. So just give me 1 minute.
okay, Yeah, so maybe just in the meantime, I'll continue talking about the VAP program a little bit, and I guess maybe the opposite is true too, as far as those who had the least amount of success is again, as I mentioned, the fact that they didn't respect, they were taking too much advantage of the resets, I guess, rather than using it more as a little bit of a crutch, right, to kind of facilitate their in some ways irresponsible way of trading. So I think that's probably the biggest obstacle I felt I had to overcome with some of these traders, right? So to kind of get them over the mindset of, hey, I need to get this done in a week, right? And I have a couple of resets. I don't mind using them, right? And then kind of maybe be potentially I think giving them maybe too much of a false sense of security to continue that approach, kind of casino style, right? Go to the casino, you know, all in, a double down, all in, and then it's not, well, I can go and hit the reset button, right? So that's how I felt.
Yeah, the reset button seems to be a crutch for many people. And they're like, oh,
Yeah,
yeah, if I
too much
just don't
so.
make it, whatever. But it doesn't develop any skills. Actually, I spent
No,
my first live VIP session yesterday probably talking for about 40 minutes about the emotional aspect, because
yeah,
that seems to be what everybody's struggling with, right? They're like,
correct,
look at my stats. I did, 85%, and
right,
I made, grand and a half.
right.
Then usually those same people after 2 days, they say, oh, it's gone.
Yeah, exactly,
It's like, what are you doing?
exactly. So it's having that mindset. I said, well, look, if you're going to try to trade that way during the combine, right?
Yeah.
You don't get resets in real life, right?
No, there's no reset. No,
Right. So
definitely
so
not.
what makes you think that's the approach you should recognize? So
Because everybody wants to get a payout yesterday. That's
correct,
usually why.
right.
And, I always say haste makes waste, and
Mm,
that's never been more applicable to uh, to something more than trading, right? So if you rush, you create rubbish, you over leverage, or
right.
dig such a big hole that even if you can get out of it, it's so massive that it affects you
Yeah,
psychologically, and then in the end you're
yeah,
just like not able to get out. And what
yeah.
do we do? Oh, you hit reset. Well, what are you going to do in an XFA? What is the
Exactly.
end result there? The end
Right.
result is that you're going to blow it. So,
Hmm.
longevity is not built by doing things like over leveraging, hitting the reset button. We have to develop valuable skills. So I would urge everybody to stop trying to pass combines in 2 days, unless you've already traded for many years, you've gotten a ton of
Right.
payouts. Then do whatever you like, right? Do
Right.
whatever you like, because you already
Right.
have the skills, right? You've proven your
Right.
competence through payouts and through keeping those funded accounts long enough to even get a payout. That's a
Hmm.
different ball game. But until you get there, we just we can't be doing that.
And then
Just
the
gonna
use of copy trading, I think, is way
yeah.
off the charts. I mean,
Yeah,
I placed it.
immediately. Yeah, they
Boom, boom,
immediately
boom.
go for 5 accounts, and I'm like,
Right.
well, did you have one that you kept for at least a month?
Yeah.
If
Exactly.
not, stick away from copy trading. Just focus
Correct.
on one. There'll be time to
Right.
scale up. That's the easy part, right?
Yeah.
Once you get there, we can easily just add more accounts and then go nuts. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So those are, I would say, would be the top two. Just too willing to use resets, to accommodate their, attempt to reach the exit pay and over leveraging.
yeah.
Right.
All right, so I'm just gonna show people what I'm looking at. So I'm looking at copper today. This is
Mhm.
micro copper, and we did have a move away from VWAP, but we ran into some calls around 450. So if we manage to stay below that, and maybe even if we get some kind of a big extension below the initial balance, I'm thinking shorts. That would be hyper one. And if we stay inside the initial balance and kind of keep creeping up, we might see some call buying and then ultimately pop Asia high. So that would be, more of a sustained auction upside as a continued move, which I doubt because yesterday's move was so crazy. So maybe copper is something that I'm going to start looking at more, purely because it did serve me well in the past, but it went a bit quiet for a long time. And the volatility index just wasn't quite where I wanted it to be. But yeah, it seems like someone is interested in copper again. So I'm going to be putting that back on my watch lists. Just wanted to chirp in with that. Let's have a look at some more questions. Paul H, this is what I was thinking too, so the volume profile, but it might work from the start of the ranging formation to present, because the trick is to understand once the range breaks and becomes a new trend, maybe higher volume. So I think he's talking about range and then going into a bit of a breakout from the range. That would be something you look for, right? So if it breaks,
exactly. I think if you now that's I guess it would be a good use of volume profile if you're entering in or you're about to break a value area low, value area high, depending on the trade. Well, that break into a low volume areas, the expectation is that would kind of accelerate your trade through, right? It has less to deal with, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
So yeah, you see, we have a third person who's joined us today. This is
nice.
yeah. So this is Lisbon, aka Bon, like Bon Scott. She is female, but we call her Bon.
Oh, you call her Bon. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, she's been a bit barky this morning, and I decided that she should do some work instead to get all of that energy out. So we're here, and we have a co-host.
Is she part of your VIP?
She's always a part of my VIP.
Nice,
She is the VIP.
Nice.
I am just her butler. I'm not, I'm not a coach. I'm a butler.
Right.
Yeah. So hopefully we can keep her entertained here while we do our work. Yeah. So let's have a look at more questions. But yeah, volume is a good indicator of whether we're making a move. And then another thing that I look for is whether we are sustaining above the range or not, because you can have those liquidity grabs that get really annoying if you're not looking out for them. So for example, if we are looking at this copper trade as a range, so obviously we have some volume that's been built up here. If we try to break upside or downside, so either side, and then come back into the range, that gives us a different type of information. And in the market profile, we typically have neutral days that end up as basically not going anywhere. So that's the point where I would switch back to the idea of sniping it from the lows and the highs and expecting the session highs and lows to be broken before I try and take the trade back in the middle. That would be hypothesis 3 here if we have a big enough range, and I think we do. I think it's not massive, but we have about 50 ticks to work with from that Asia high to low. So, maybe sniping about 20 ticks if it extends both ways. And if not, if we see a breakout followed by increase in volume, well, then you pounce on that. So we allow the market-generated information to guide our decisions rather than our emotions and wants. Okay, so carry on.
Yeah, so this would be kind of a good one here. I just got... I didn't do a lot of candlesticks here, but just the fact that we're seeing kind of a buying wick, right, in the low volume area, that might be an indication, right? If this can hold in that kind of way, well, you can see that volume profile is indicating that this is a kind of a low volume area, right? And that could be enough of a location, I guess, for maybe a possible reversal, since it's just a hair above VWAP and it's sloping it up, right?
We had a good reaction from VWAP. This is why, one of the high posts that I've got is that we carry on higher. But at this point, we don't know. It's just sitting there. Yeah.
Yeah. It's still developing.
It's still developing. Yeah. We don't have enough information to get involved. And yet some people would already be doing like 5 trades at this point.
Exactly.
It's like, hold up, slow down.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah, I would say another thing is kind of developing a patience,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
You know,
definitely.
waiting for the events to take place to confirm direction
Yeah,
is it
yeah. If you are like I actually saw somebody in the VIP group yesterday saying, "Oh, if today is in NQ is if we hold the highs, I will be holding shorts all day." But
mm,
from what I figured is that they're expecting a range bound day. That's not the
right?
time to hold anything, right?
Mm-hmm,
That is the time to see money, take money,
mm-hmm,
and then see whether you have another opportunity. And typically on range bound days I do tend to trade more because there's
right,
more opportunities, right?
right.
Throughout the day you will rotate many times from one side to the other or partially from one side to the middle, and that's a smaller trade, so naturally we have to adapt our strategies
And
depending.
I feel like that there are certain instruments in themselves. I think often contribute to that style of trading as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Nasdaq being for me being one of them. I think is a wild horse.
yeah, like Coach Hoop says, Nasdaq doing zoomies, which
Yes,
I think is
yes,
great. Bond
yes,
does zoomies, that's her
yeah,
thing. Yes, you're like Nasdaq, you're a bit crazy. Yeah.
yes.
All right, so Ms. Lucia says, I use Tasty Trade. What platform do you use in the UK for London Stock Exchange options, or do you trade CFDs? I don't trade LSE options. If I do trade options, they would be CME options. And for that, I actually also use Tasty Trade, bizarrely. I know some people have used, what's the other one? Interactive Brokers, I think. But yeah, I wouldn't know about the LSE because I don't do LSE options, and frankly, I prefer to have American style options as well, because you can close them out, you can like do stuff with them more, and they offer more flexibility than European style options that are not as flexible. But yeah, unfortunately, I'm not your person for London Stock Exchange options because I've literally never done one in my life. Do you trade options anytime, Ray?
I dabble in it. Um, it's more of a kind of swing, I guess. I tend to there are 90-day windows of opportunity, I guess. So yeah, I dabble in that sort of in a different type of account. That's kind of where my background came from. Was start off in stocks, followed up with options. With day trading options, which was painful, and finally moved to an instrument that didn't penalize me for not understanding the Greek. So
Yeah. And also the last part of that question is, or do you trade CFDs? I don't trade CFDs. I don't like them. I think they're partially regulated. I think they're dangerous. You have big spreads that make no sense and they're just like broker generated. Also, the volume analysis doesn't work because the volume is coming from the brokerage rather than the actual exchange in CFDs. And yeah, I just don't like. Years ago, I decided the CFDs are just not for me. And another little point: if you hold more than 50K of capital in a CFD account, that is the only money that you will get. So 50K is what is guaranteed by law in UK and EU. So yeah, let's say you want to trade with $250,000. If something happens to the brokerage, you might only get 50K out of it.
oh well,
So I don't know about you guys, but to me, that's just like throwing money
yeah,
out the window. So
yeah,
yeah, I'm not happy with CFDs, and I would actually say to everyone, stick away from CFDs. Just go to regulated futures, right? You
yeah. I
don't
think it's
need to
awesome.
trade dodgy products. Is there a long potential with crude oil? We can have a look. Crude oil and gold is something that both Ray and I have traded extensively, although crude oil less so. I've been using crude oil more as a reference for RBOB. I mean, it's trying, certainly trying. Let's have a look at some options levels. Some GEX levels around,
It's
but
reacting off of VWAP. So
yeah, but it's struggling.
yeah,
To me, this is not that much commitment. They're trying, Let's see what this next candle does, I suppose. But let me see where the hell my chart went. And then I can have a look at it from... Yeah, so one thing I don't like is that it tried to pop outside of the initial balance. We're about to finish a TPO, so a 30-minute time frame. But we are ending back inside the initial balance. To me, that would mean we have so far failed to hold above the first hour of trading range. This is the initial balance.
yeah.
Tried to go outside. No follow through, no higher high. Just looking at basic development of price. What do we need to see? We need to see, first and foremost, that we are not in the initial balance upon the move higher. And, ideally a higher high. Don't have any of that right now. So there's a potential for a crude oil long. Is it now? I would say not yet. Maybe in half an hour we'll have more detail and more data. But if you're looking for a momentum trade, this might be quite painful. Because that candle was about, it was almost 30 ticks wide. So if you tried to go for a breakout, you're probably sitting at a loss now. I don't like doing breakouts on crude oil. It just doesn't work. It's not like NASDAQ where it runs for like a million ticks and then you get something out of it. Crude oil likes to whip out, mess around, and then eventually start. So I actually like reversion trades in crude oil in particular. Those have served me very well over the years.
Gold of late has been really good in a direction.
Yeah, I can't figure gold out though for some reason. I don't know whether I'm just not reading it well or what. But talk us through to some of your gold.
Yeah, I've of late it's been very, you can at least get one move out of gold on a particular day, and it's done for me. I guess my timing has been pretty good of late. But I would say that the initial balance range, break of initial balance range and retest of initial balance high has offered opportunity. So classic IB extensions.
I'm just looking at it now. We have Globex VWAP on gold that is literally just at this price, 28.81 4 or something like that.
Yeah, it's been a pretty good run of late. So we've been testing 2,900 and failed away from it.
Yeah. So for London, we do have an attempt at a sustained auction higher, which would be with the overall trend. So let me just switch here. Bond. Stop wriggling. Yeah, so this is overnight VWAP. That's what I'm seeing here. This was the initial balance. It's a sizable initial balance. So this could either mean like we're gonna have a crazy day again, or let's see what happens. I'm not gonna say anything, but yeah, volume on this particular move is not great. And you agree, yes? Yeah. No great volume. Woof.
It's above initial balance, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I agree. Its volume is still not there yet.
Yeah. So that's why I'm kind of a little bit suspicious. Again, no higher high. Like we've kind of done a double top here. So if you're gonna do a long, I would probably wait until that's broken, then wait for a pullback, and then maybe go in. So, again, patience rather than let's click a button and go in. Confirm the breakout first, then pull back, then snipe it from a low time frame as a timing tool,
Yeah.
not the
I'd
other
be
way
high,
around.
maybe
Yeah,
being the reference
I'd be
level.
high. Yeah, there's an RBR here as well, so rally-based rally, and because of the contextual nature of this, even 28.79 would be a pretty decent area
Yeah,
to
I was
look
going to
for
say
longs.
2880, but yeah.
Yeah. So I'd be high. If it goes a little bit deeper, then 28.79. So yeah, that could be a trade. And then if that starts breaking down, well, you have, maybe a downtrend, a failed auction. And in that case, you look for a pullback the other side. So it's like it changes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always feel I make much better trading decisions when I let everything develop and I look for a trend change, then pullback. And that's my entry. And then if I don't get a pullback, in case like of equities and stuff, they don't always provide the opportunity to get in on a pullback, you just let it go. Like the markets will be
you have
here.
to be okay with that.
Yeah, you have to be okay with it. You have to learn to let go, definitely.
Yeah.
Right, let's have a look at another question. Oliver says, can you guys recommend whether it makes sense to look at the volume distribution from regular hours or extended hours? So which one? I look at both, to be honest. I look at large profile, large volume profile, and then also regular trading hours profile. How about you, Ray?
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. I like looking at obviously the current as well as the day before.
Yeah.
As a kind of a comparison. Day before to kind of date, whatever session you trade, looking at where price is in relation to the prior session. That's always a good marker.
Yeah. I think it's useful to start using the low volume nodes and high volume nodes in a multi-time frame analysis mode. So rather than deciding, I'm only going to look at, RTH, or I'm only going to look at big profiles, look at both and write it down. See whether you can actually make something out of it, and there will be context there. Go from 4 weeks worth, then look at the daily, then look at Asia profile, look at London profile, see what happened yesterday, how are they developing today. All of that will eventually start to form a picture of what they're trying to do with it, right? So this is where the MGI comes in, market generated information over your emotions and wants and desires. So we would like gold to go into another breakout, wouldn't we? Everybody wants to see that. That would be an easy trade. Is it going to happen? Well, we don't know. In fact, the next question is kind of along those lines. Desmond says, hello, coaches Dee and Ray. On a day like today in GC, how do you know which bounce will hold and sustain long entry? Well, you don't. Yeah.
If we did, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we would just be like, yeah, we're the wizards. Who needs anything else? No one knows. And this is where the skill is as well. The skill is to unglue yourself from what you want. You know how Hogue says you don't get smarter when you're in a trade? That's exactly what it means, because suddenly you're painted with this like your desire is painted by what you want out of a trade, but the market doesn't care. It will do whatever it does. So your job actually or our job as a trader is to stay objective and to see whether there's evidence of continued buying, or are they reversing? Are they slowing down? So there's three things that can happen. It will either go up, down, or sideways. Okay?
Right.
There's no fourth option. So if you can learn how to recognize clues over when the auction is strong, when the auction is a little bit suspect, are we making higher highs or not? Are we settling in a range? That will serve you better than going, how do you know? Tell me what it's going to do. We see the same charts as you do, Desmond, right?
Yeah.
We don't have any kind of super crystal balls or special powers. We just learn how to read the markets objectively. That's the big secret, that there is no secret.
Right. Well, as Hogue would say sometimes, is that you want to ask yourselves the question: am I seeing what I expect to see, right? I guess as kind of I guess moving it from an emotional kind of position to a logical one, right? And by asking yourself these questions, it kind of sets the proper tone for you to decide whether you should trade it or not. I think a lot of people tend to follow the camp of emotion, right? Fear of missing, and as a result, to get into something that they're not prepared. And when the moment they see any adverse reactions, they bail, right? They don't give the trade enough time to play out.
They bail or they add.
Right, right.
Yeah, but here's a good exercise. So something that I do in my private coaching is, if you're in doubt, like what you say, you bought at 28.80 and got rolled, then you bought again at 28.75 and then at 28.70. So lost a lot in bounces. So to me, that just tells me you are not being objective. So as you were buying, I assume this was during Asia, because this is like right before Tokyo closed, so about half an hour before Tokyo closed. I'm guessing you started buying, right? So what were you buying here? Because we broke the previous Asia low.
Yeah.
So the 28.80, like, why are you buying that? We're sustaining underneath it. And if anything, if you use a very basic analysis, the 28.80 is now some kind of a resistance. This is still a trending move down. So you're buying against that. I would say you were buying a falling knife there a little bit. And then you have another non-committal attempt at a reversal, not followed by any particular buying volume. And in fact, the volume drops off very significantly. And then you said you bought again at 28.75. So again, what are you buying? You have a new lower low. So here's what I want you to do, Desmond. Next time, just do a little analysis and just go lower, low, yes, no. So just say in this case, you go yes, no longs yet. Because you can't have a lower low if we're changing structure, right? You need to wait for the microstructure to change and to actually have the evidence that we're holding a level, And then you bought again at 28.75, another lower low. So even if you buy and then you realize there's more lower lows coming in, just bail, because you're like, no evidence of longs stepping in yet. Right? And keep doing that. Externalize it on a piece of paper or a notepad or something. And then what you're trying to do, you're trying to scalp back the other way. Wouldn't it be easier if you just went with the trend and wait for the bounce to happen and then look for weakness while we're making lower lows? Let's just use some systematic approaches and evidence of what the market is doing. So yes, I know you want a long. Yes, we had a lot of days when it went up, but nothing goes up in a straight line. And intraday is all about ups and downs. There's an ebb and flow to the market. Very few days you will have where you just outright go straight up or straight down. So you have to start being a little bit more critical about what you're demanding from the actual price to do. And if you want longs, you want to see higher highs. You don't want to see lower lows. Right. So try and be more objective. Develop that objectivity in your trading, and then just leave this on the chart. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, another thing, something like a VWAP, right, would be a good indicator in this particular case, because it blew through VWAP. It blew through VWAP, and really hasn't been above VWAP ever since.
Yeah, and it's still struggling. We're back at it.
Yeah, another reason we should not be considering it.
So when Ray and I are talking about VWAP and initial balance, lower lows, that's all orientation points that, they're not there because we are trying to be smart. They're there because we are trying to figure out what the market is doing. We're like detectives, right? We're like, well, we've got these orientation points. Can we get above them? Are we getting strength or weakness around them?
Right.
It's a very good concept when you start looking at how something is doing. So like Ray said, we can here add below VWAP. So you can say to yourself, well, until we get above VWAP.
Right. No long.
no longs.
Yeah, simple as that.
And yeah, very simple. There's no big rocket science here.
Yeah.
I know that there's a lot of stuff that you need to remember in the heat of the moment, which makes trading very challenging for a lot of people. But that's the name of the game. You know, you have to collate all of this information that you're being assaulted with as the price action is happening. And if you're not there yet, you're not able to figure things out on a low time frame, stay on a 15 and 30-minute charts. That will give you time to figure out whether there is a trade there or not. If you're on a 1-minute chart, that's for, you know, yeah, it's noise. So you need to figure out what's noise, what's not noise, and it makes everything more difficult because the newer traders typically don't have the ability to stay calm in the heat of the moment and aggregate a ton of data that they need in order to make a good trading decision.
Yeah, I think the more binary decisions, right, binary kind of points that you can make as you're trying to evaluate helps, right? We don't want maybes, we want yes and no's.
Yeah.
Is it below VWAP? No. Well, why am I considering long? Right? So
some people get paralysis analysis. So they're like, for example, I've seen people who are like, but we're above the initial balance, but below VWAP. Oh my God, what do I do now? Well, until it makes higher highs above VWAP and sustains above VWAP, this would be just a test of VWAP and a run back down. You know, VWAP is a volume weighted average price. The reason why it's reactive is because there was a lot of volume there. So it's like, you know.
If anything, we should be looking at short.
Exactly. Yeah, we should be looking maybe at a failed auction. Absolutely. Yeah. So right now, for me, longs are off the table on golds completely. So hopefully that helps you. You know, just that binary process, like Ray mentioned, yes or no, should be a little bit better. All right. Oh, more noise. All right, so we have a plumber hopefully finishing up, so maybe we'll get some peace and quiet around here. We'll see. Let's have a look at what copper is doing. Still nothing. It's similar thing, right? It's hanging around VWAP. Still inside the initial balance, so I've got nothing here yet. What do you reckon?
I'm just kind of bringing it up. Yeah, that really hasn't broken in any direction, up or down. Yeah, I mean, if anything, probably short, but
yeah, I'm looking for a mean reversion from that move yesterday.
Yeah.
But nothing yet. There's no evidence of that.
I'd like it to break that, I guess, 48.25. And then come back and retest it, and then maybe that would offer something.
Yeah, so maybe break of the initial balance, then the test of IB low if we get a sustained auction, and then to remain below VWAP. We don't want it going too far above VWAP if that happens. Yeah, so that's hypo 1. Now we have some more evidence that longs are not that strong.
No.
But still no evidence of shorts either, so no action, right? Binary process.
Right.
Yes trade, no trade. For now, it's a no trade. So what do we need to see? Initial balance, extension down, and sustain below.
Right.
Also lower lows. You know, when that happens, you're going to have a lower low.
Yeah.
Then
we haven't had a lower low. We haven't had a lower low. We're kind of in a range.
Yeah. So. This is just a range.
Yeah.
Pull back to IB low, and below, stay below VWAP. That's what I want to see. This is what it means to be a market stalker, right? You stalk the markets and you wait for the prices to come to you. You have an idea of what you want to see, clear idea, and then you make that binary decision to enter a trade, take action, or to stay out and not do anything. Just chill. And right now,
patience is one of those. I think we spend a lot of time waiting in trading, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the word trading implies that we need to be in the market at all times. right? To really be a trader. And it's to be frank, it's quite the opposite,
Yeah.
right? We are much more risk managers, right? Actuaries, right?
Yeah.
We're trying to figure out, okay, we want to deploy some capital, but we just don't want to deploy capital willy-nilly into the market. We need to find, good risk locations, right? Risk reward locations to deploy capital, and that's what our job is. It's not to execute a bunch of trades. It's really to execute trades that are going to turn a
Yeah,
profit.
we're not market makers. You're not hired to fill 1,000 lots of ES every day. No one
Right.
cares how many trades you're going to do. And in fact, that's a very good way to rack up nice fees for your broker.
Yes. Your broker is probably very happy with you.
Yeah, I mean, I know in TSX TopstepX, we don't have fees in the combines and XFAs, but guess what? Live accounts are with an actual brokerage. Do you think they're going to forego commissions? No. So you still have fees. So if you're doing a bunch of micros, that gets very expensive quickly. And also, if you're doing a bunch of trades in minis, there was that one guy that was doing 1,800 micros, accounting for, I think by the end of the day, he would have, like, if it was trading in live, he would have accounted for, like, I think it mixed at 30% of all volume in like,
Wow.
yeah, it's crazy. So that's not our job. In fact, there are some studies done with retail traders in particular that those who are the most active are the ones who don't really make money. So the ones who are more selective, and even if you're a scalper, you don't have to do 100 trades a day. Some of the best scalpers that I've seen, people like Nick for a tick, does he do 20, 30 trades in a day? No, he does 2 or 3, and then he
Yep.
walks away.
Yep.
What does that tell you? Similar, we used to have Rips on Topstep. Well, he does the same thing. He doesn't do 10 trades a day. He will do 3 to 5, a little bit more than Nick, but still.
Yep.
So think about that next time you're like sitting down into your 40th trade of the day and
Yeah.
you're wondering why things are not working. So maybe be more selective,
Yeah. Gold is starting to perk up here a little bit.
Yeah.
It's starting to get above this VWAP. This marker is starting to make a new high, right?
Yeah, so if you
Not
were gonna
quite,
make a breakout trade,
yeah.
this would be it. Now we're above VWAP and it's
Yep.
starting to pick up in volume.
Yep.
Volume is rising.
Yep. And then the initial balance high would be our reference level as far as stops.
Yeah.
We would have to be somewhere below that in order to.
Yeah.
Well, that's where we would be wrong, basically.
Yeah. And then we have a potential for a mean reversion trade back to the London value low, which is actually located at 28.91. So there's a supply there as well. So I would probably aim for targets around 28.90. I wouldn't maybe ask for it to go all the way to value low, just in case they decide to turn around there. And there's going to be a bit of pain before they can go through that level, purely because there was some sellers there. Very simple.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
ultimately, we wanted to get above that seller, whoever that seller was.
Yeah.
Right, and then that should really give us a little bit more confidence that the bulls have really
taken over. Yeah, because that would be takeout of the second high that we made prior. So that would mean 2 higher highs smashing through supplies. That's what we mean by broken supplies. And you can look at it. Let's go back to GC for a second. You can look at it in supply and demand terms, right? So what were we doing on the way down? Let's go to the 15-minute chart just to make that even more dynamic. So we had all the way from yesterday, right? We had sellers here. Here's a supply. Another supply. Then we have another supply. Reactive. Tested and reacted. So that is your last relevant sort of swing high, where if we go above that, you've got the trend change for real. All of this, I would say, it's more of a speed bump takeout. So drop, base drop, but we're going above that. So yes, there's a trend change, but is in the grand scheme of things, I don't think this is yet kind of like, oh, we're in a swing. Let's hold this for 4 hours. For now, this is just a mean reversion up to the next area of resistance, if you want to call it that. And also where the visible range POC is located as well. So again, very good mean reversion target. Incidentally, like I said, London low is a little bit higher up. So a whole bunch of stuff that might be adding time onto the further long trades. So if somebody wants to execute a long later on, and let's say they weren't awake for London, so we get up to these levels, and now they start going long into these levels. What's going to happen to your trade? Well, you're probably going to experience some drawdown. Why? Because just buying into resistance.
Right.
But so until the resistance breaks, until the supply breaks, you're going to have pain. And you're going to be like, oh, this market is shit. No, you're not choosing the right trade location where we have nothing in the way up to the next area. So right now, the way I'm seeing this, if this keeps going, we have nothing in the way until at least 28.87.
Right.
So that's kind of how my eyes are seeing gold moves right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think the key for me right now is to see that we can get price above VWAP, right? That's kind of the first criteria.
Yeah, first condition has to sustain above VWAP.
If they can't get it above VWAP, I'm not interested.
I have a question from Johnny. Hi all, what's your interpretation today? 3305 puts on 6125 on ES. So I haven't looked at ES options chain. I don't really. Again, I'm a energies trader. One thing that when I'm using options levels as orientation points, that's not like me looking to do options. I just want to see whether there is call buying at the area where we had quite a bit of interest before, or whether we are actually losing interest there, right? So right now we're kind of glued around 6100. We're just sitting there doing absolutely nothing. 6125, there's a lot of puts there, but it really depends whether we even get up there. So right now I'm not even interested in that area because it's nowhere near, right? You have a gamma exposure level that also has some interest at 6110. But yeah, I mean, this is quite far away. And because it's in an uptrend, right now, any sort of shorts could be considered aggressive for me. Shorts on equities, holding them, very aggressive. We are kind of in a range on a daily chart. So let's move to a daily and move to ES. I mean, so you're asking me about an area that has a lot of puts. Yeah, it's at the top of a supply. Are we anywhere near there? No, but can you run a swing trade, maybe little scalpy shorts from 6125? That's the daily chart of ES. Yeah, I mean, it's top of the range. So if you can find evidence that we are having trouble around there, that would be a short. But not to hold, not to go, I'm going to hold that short until the cows come home, because we are still in an uptrend, right? We're compressing, and I don't know what they're waiting for. Because again, I'm not a core equities trader, so I trade DAX, but that's just like 30 minutes to a couple of hours, and then I'm out. I don't necessarily need to know macro ins and outs. I'm a technician. We all are, and I think macro, when it comes to crude oil, is also not that important as it used to be once, because now you get Trump opening his mouth and everything goes crazy and all your technicals go right out the window. But it does have more weight on the price, maybe on some very, very long time frames, but not intraday. right? So if you're looking at 61.25 as a potential short area, yes, that's a good choice. But I wouldn't hold that as a swing. If you're expecting a sudden change, we need to see again evidence of that change. Right now, we're just seeing a slowdown of the uptrend. And very recently, we made new all-time highs. Did we have the new administration setting in? Do we have, some changes happening? Sure, it's a regime change. So naturally, there will be uncertainty in the markets. Is Trump going to allow the markets to completely roll over? Probably not. Are we due for a sell-off? At some point, yes. Do we have evidence of that sell-off? No. So long as it's still in play for
one
me.
big fat range.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the ES? Do you trade ES much these days?
Honestly, I really don't look. I mean, I take a peek on the NASDAQ, and I actually, of the three, I actually like the Dow.
Oh, I don't have
Yeah,
Dow in here.
so,
Let me open the simulator.
yeah, I watch the Dow a bit more than the others, but honestly, I spend most of my time of late been in gold of late.
Yeah, gold is to me a bit of a love-hate relationship.
Yeah.
Huh. Why don't I have
Oh my God,
Dow?
it's very
That's
quiet.
interesting. Yeah. Interestingly, I don't know why, but I don't have I don't have Dow on my sim either. That's weird.
We got a confirmed close on the 30-minute.
Okay, so that's a trend change in gold. Yeah.
Yep.
And now we'd be looking for a pullback maybe to VWAP because that's the nearest.
Right.
I think
Maybe
the
on a
pullback
lower
to
time
IB
frame.
has already happened. Yeah, lower time frame, this will be the time to drop down and then try and snipe it from lower down. So same thing, looking for structure changes, maybe even like the middle of the swing might do as well if we're really in a strong uptrend, then you're not going to get deep pullbacks. But you use your channels.
Anywhere in
yes.
this area would be very nice with a rejection candle.
Mm-hmm. And if it goes without us, it goes without us. It's fine. Like it's not a big deal. But we have to let the price come to us. That's the whole point.
Yes.
If you chase, you're going to get yourself into a lot of trouble. Sometimes you'll get lucky. Like, don't get me wrong. People get lucky all the time. And then they think, yes, this is easy. And then the pullbacks start happening and they're doing breakouts.
Yeah.
And it's like, well. Nasdaq Futures Trader says, with live accounts on Topstep, is it the same broker for everyone? Yes. So it used to be Cunningham Trading Systems. They got bought by Plus 500, and it's been Plus 500 ever since. So with that, the my account thing has nothing to do with anybody else. It's to do with the bridge. Very long story. My live was actually the first live TopstepX account. And with that, I think there are certain things on the back end that are not, I don't know, sometimes it just goes a little bit weird. And then we have to communicate. So don't worry, it's nothing to do with you guys. It's literally specific to just my account. And it usually gets resolved very quickly. So do not worry. But weirdly I don't have Dow. Like I'm just looking at my combine. And there's no Dow. Do we don't need to pay extra data for? No, we should get everything. I don't even remember how combines work anymore. I haven't been in them for a while. Yeah, weird. Maybe. I know I don't have it on my live because I don't pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
But I would.
If you have the NASDAQ and the ES, I would assume you just get the Dow with it.
No, it's a different. Different data feed. Yeah. So NASDAQ and ES are CME, and Dow for some reason is CBOE. So you actually have to pay an extra $100. It gets expensive, if you want to have all the. Yeah, I mean, before I even start, and I only pay for, I think, 3 exchanges. Before I even start, I have like $450 of cost a
Right.
month.
Yeah.
And it's just how it is,
Business.
It's data feed for
The business.
professional traders. Yeah. Cost of business, yeah. Luckily, I can claim it on expenses, so it's all good.
So it would be very nice here if you got a rejection of this. This would be kind of any, kind of sign that we get a rejection candle,
Yeah.
but not in most may not be the cards.
Well, as long as it stays a part of that channel, right? So if it doesn't make a new lower low, we're
Right,
still okay.
right, right. But what I would like to see is that little hammer kind of a wick.
Yeah.
I'd like to see a
A
buying
wick,
wick
yeah.
point. But I think things happen a little bit slower in London.
So let's see. Maybe, where are we? Let's go back to GC. Lower time frame as well. Okay. If we can get sub 2882, that could be a really good long entry.
Yeah. I don't want to see it go below VWAP. That would be
Yeah, sometimes at this time of day, they
validation.
do wag around VWAP a little bit before making a decision. It's a little bit different because there's not enough power in it just yet. And we used to have the London Metal Exchange, LME, but that doesn't exist anymore. I think people still trade that, but they trade a whole bunch of weird metals in 5-minute increments, and then for 10 minutes they trade everything, and that's when gold is going to get traded. But yeah, unfortunately, they don't have too many things happening.
So if we get a new high here, I think.
Yeah. I mean, we could try a little trade. I'm going to go to a micro just to make sure that my things are working. Ideally, I would like to get 2882, really. Because that's kind of closer to this little range on a 5-minute chart as well.
Yeah.
It would be kind of the bottom of that range, going to a really granular view.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm looking at here. So if we get anywhere near this little area and hold it, that'll be a good microstructure long there. Just a timing tool, And you know me, Ray, I like to look at things horizontally. I know you like channels.
Yeah. So it looks like it's creating a little bit of a demand zone here now. Yeah, this might be a trigger for me.
I think it might be for me as well. So I'm going to try a 3 lot here. Just a micro, so it's not massive. And then also, I don't want it going down below that little low. So let's see if we can get a push somewhere. Not looking for too much this time of day. So now we're looking for this to stay above VWAP and to not make a new lower low. If it does, that's where my stop is.
Right.
Then I'll be out. I don't want to lose too much here.
Right.
But since this is the London session, everything is super slow.
Yeah, I'm looking at this. I said, well, I've never remember seeing gold move so slow. So
Yeah. Sometimes it's a blessing because you have a nice trend and you can read it very nicely. But sometimes it's a pain because you enter a trade and it's like copper. It does nothing.
Right.
And then in about half an hour's time, things stop moving. So that's kind of my prime time to look for moves. It's almost like the overlap. It's not even the London session properly. Late London session, maybe. And then that overlap as you guys start to wake up on the other side of the world. They're like, oh yeah, let's trade gold. Yeah, and then you get these crazier moves, range expansions, a whole bunch of stuff. It all gets a bit difficult. But yeah, let's see if we can find that move. Just 50 ticks maybe. Tiny little trade. Dum, dum, dum. Suspense.
Oh, there it is.
Okay. A little bit of life.
Yeah.
Wakey, wakey.
Yeah.
So this would be like a trader doing a shot of espresso and going, right, let's trade.
Exactly what you love to see here. So.
Yeah, we still need a higher high.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no higher high yet.
Yep.
This is now the OODA loops, right? OODA loops.
Yes.
That you track how your trade is doing. And if it starts to falter at any point, this is the time when I go to like a 100 tick chart or something, or bookmap. And then I start to look whether we are pumping above the ribbon. Are we holding above it? And as long as we're holding above it, I've got nothing to do. If I see a change in bookmap and we start to get bubbles that are more to the ask side, that's when I'm like, okay, hold on. Maybe we're waning now. But yeah, you can see it in volume as well. So you want to see on a 100 tick chart, it's a bit more difficult because it's a non-time base, so it all looks pretty much similar. But you can use a 2-minute chart for that. For now, we do have the increase in buy volume. And my little DMI tool is starting to show life on the upside. Higher high has appeared. Second question, are we going to sustain above it?
Right.
So again, it's all a loop, right? OODA loop. Observe, orient, decide, act. That's what it stands for. Now, granted, 2-minute chart might be a little bit too low for that. But, 5 minutes and 15 minutes to calm you down and to just kind of chill you out, because we're not expecting a super crazy momentum move right now because it's a London session. And then maybe staying on a 15-minute chart, just chilling out, waiting for the next 5 minutes to finish. And then you'll have a new 15-minute time frame. So for now, what do we have? We're holding above VWAP. We have gone into a higher high. Do we hold above VWAP or not? That is the next question.
Right.
As long as we're...
That's our invalidation area, right?
Yes, so that's the invalidation area. And my stop is obviously quite a few ticks below there, but not too far. It's whatever this is, it's a few ticks below it. But it's not right there, It's like some people like to put their stops like literally like here. And I'm like,
give it a
just
little
asking for it, Give it a little bit of breathing room.
And I certainly wouldn't put it above.
Yeah. Let's remove that. Okay, so we have for now, in the next, we still need to wait for this 15-minute candle to finish, but it's trying to create a green candle. It's trying to go higher. For now, there's nothing for us to do here. So you just leave it alone. You don't move your stop to break even because it's not even up to like 1 hour yet. This is where people will freak out. Move the stop to break even. It's like it's 8 ticks in profit.
How do you feel about that? I get that a lot, and
do you know what? There are times when, trailing a stop, like if you're going to just do a little scalp, and it moves in your favor. And you're like, okay, let's just protect it because I'm going to take it off in a minute anyway. So that's fine. But if you're looking for a longer term trade and you're freaking out every time it goes into 8 tick profits, but you're planning to hold it for 40 minutes, I don't think that's the appropriate strategy because all you're doing is cutting off your profit potential.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it? I don't remember you trading stops too much.
No. I usually am. I set my stop, leave it alone until I get within 10% of my target.
Exactly. So you don't overmanage trades. You just let them do their thing. But it comes with confidence, I suppose, as well. This is where data can help. If you don't know how your trades look or what the outcome is, or, you're afraid to let them run. Like, what are you afraid of? That's what I want to know. It's like, what, that somebody's going to chase you?
I guess it would depend on the type of the trade, right? So if it felt like I was going counter trend, I might be a little bit more aggressive with my stops.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
But if I feel like I'm with the higher time frame, really nothing to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just let it do its thing. Yes, it will weave up and down, but as long as your invalidation points are not getting touched, and they're reasonable. Now, they're not like, oh, invalidation point 2 ticks below. It's like, no, invalidation point of like 15, 20, 30 ticks away from current price. Then you have time to react. You know, if you don't have that, I feel like it's all just very nervous trading. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's like nervous
Yeah.
trading. It's like, oh my God.
I really don't see any reason why I can't get back to this area I'm drawing.
Yeah.
I think you've already kind of alluded to that already. So
Yeah. So we do have kind of a minor Asia swing. Oh, no, it is a Asia low. So we have Asia low at 28.84. Let me switch to my screen. There. So I'll just put this down. If we can confidently sort of break into that in the next 30 minutes, so not just a 15-minute chart, I want to hold that area into it for the full 30-minute candle, right? If we don't get that, I'm going to be like, okay, this is probably now some sort of a resistance here. But once we start tracking, if we start tracking into the Asia range, then this becomes a very real possibility. So we'll see. You know, nothing is decided yet. It's London, so it's a bit slower.
Yep.
And as long as it's above VWAP, again, nothing for us to do. And we have to accept the risk as well. You know, it's not about, oh yeah, let's just cry if it loses. You accept the risk. It's like, this is what it's all about. You are buying some stock, right? We're buying some gold here. If you were buying it in a shop without the possibility, you know, buying any stock, like let's say you have, you sell TVs. Let's not do gold, but you sell television sets. And you go, right, so I'm buying some TVs to sell in my shop. I'm going to have a nice profit margin on that, profit margin, risk reward, right? But I don't know whether they will sell. Am I going to make money on that? You don't know, but you take the risk of buying stock and putting your money into something that has a potential to make you money. But if it doesn't sell, you're then left with a what? Business expense, right?
Right.
You don't cry over it. You don't buy stock for your shop and go, it didn't sell. You just go, okay, it's a business expense.
Yeah, you want to risk one and make a multiple of that, right? So
yeah.
So
right.
I mean, I have the long position tool, which is a nice tool there.
Yeah.
This kind of outlines kind of what I expect to
see. Yeah.
And you want to be able to take these kind of trades, right? These are the kind of trades you want to be taking, right? Because the reward to risk is in your favor.
Yeah. Yeah. I usually take the ones that have bigger profit margin than the risk required. So obviously, we go below VWAP, then it's an invalidation.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
It's fine. But as long as that is not the case, we have I call it the intrinsic profit margin. It's kind of like from the options, right? What is the value of this? Well, intrinsic profit margin is 50 ticks. That's where our next area of supply is.
Yeah.
Now, whatever happens here, it could be just an ebb and flow of the market, but like I said, as long as we stick below above VWAP, it's all good. So you can't freak out.
Right.
And again, it did the same thing. Test the VWAPs, tried to go lower, went higher, and now we're messing around in the same area, just underneath Asia low.
Yeah.
So Asia low is actually causing some trouble
as a bull,
now.
We want to see a higher high at this point, right?
We do, yeah. And again, we are now in a new 15-minute candle. So this one ended up as a kind of a hammer bear candle with a bit of a doji. I don't like the doji candles. Sorry, not doji candles. Selling wick candles for like reversals, because I feel they have a high rate of failure, right? But it also depends where they're occurring. So we'll see if we can actually break into another higher high. And if that's not the case, I'm going to drop down to 100 tick charts and make sure to exit the position earlier if I can. Right. Even though this is a pretty small stop, so it probably won't let me if I don't get, a slower price action down. But yeah, for now, still ranging. So pumped up, range. So pump up, sell off, range, pump up, range. Is it going to do that again? Pump up, range. Let's wait and see. I mean, if we get to 886, maybe I'll just take this off to finish off the stream because we've got like about 10, 12 minutes left. Let's have a look at a couple more questions. Desmond says, Dee, I'm on the 5-minute and 15-minute. I was trying to catch the reversal from a falling knife. Yeah, so we were talking about that earlier. Got it at 28.70. So from your analysis, you wouldn't buy GC until you get, above VWAP. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, because anything... it doesn't matter what points is that. Oh, that's 10 points. I don't care what it is. The market structure is not telling you to buy, okay? So you got lucky after getting a lot of paper cuts on the way down. Oh, let's try long, smack. Let's try long, smack. Let's try long, smack. Oh, you finally got it at 28.70. That's not the way to trade. Like, you're literally going against everything that the price action is telling you and being high on hopium that you're going to catch a long in gold and losing money in the process, right? So we're trying to tell you that that is not what skilled traders do. We wait until market structure change, then we do what we're doing now. We wait for a pullback and then more highs, right? We don't just go willy-nilly on the way down because it looks like it's got a big risk reward. Because it doesn't. It's got lower lows. That's against the buy. So until that changes, there is no buys. Whether that's 10 ticks higher, whether that's 20 ticks higher. But in the meantime, while I'm only doing a 17 tick risk, you've put a hole of probably, I don't know, let's say you've used 10, 15 ticks. I don't know how much your stops are. But you've basically put a hole of like 40 ticks probably trying to catch it on the way down. So now you need a bigger risk reward than me because you were over eager to get back to flat, right? Is that a nice way to manage your positions and your account balance? I think it's pretty painful.
Yeah.
Drama, right?
And I think the mindset is all, now, I'm ready to rent, so now I need to make that up in some sort of way. And
yeah, psychologically it gets tough.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of feeds on itself, right?
Yeah. It causes traumas. You're causing traumas for yourself by trying to imagine things and play, I don't know, like psychic or something. So it's going to reverse here.
Yeah.
It won't. It's like, until look, when there's a trade, it's obvious, right?
Right.
If there's no trade, if you can't figure out whether it's going up or down, but you think it should be going down or up or whatever, that's just you projecting. It's not actually reading the market. So try to look at the markets as if you are trying to read a book, right? So when you're reading a novel, you don't try to predict what's going to happen. You just read the novel, right? You don't go, oh no, this guy did it. Well, maybe sometimes you would do it like with like crime novels. But generally, if you're reading a book, you just enjoy the flow of the storyline of what they're trying to tell you, right? You don't try to jump to the end and figure out all the plot and everything because you don't know. Your job as a trader is just to read objectively what's going on and try to find the least painful way to get in on that. If that makes sense.
And then just continue asking those questions, right?
Yeah.
What is the next thing I need to see?
Yeah. Am I seeing it?
Right. Yeah. Right. And that helps objectify our thought process.
Yeah. So when you're on super low time frames, you won't have time to think things through. That's why we always say, both Ray and I are always saying, try to stick on a slightly higher time frame. Because if you have 15 minutes to figure out what's happening, that's much better than having like 1 minute or 30 seconds chart and to figure out whether you want to stay in a trade or not. There are people who can do that, but generally there are people who have other areas where they've already boosted their brain processing power so they can think faster. And unfortunately, that's not the case for most regular people, right? You do have it, you see it a lot in doctors, you see it in musicians, you see it in engineers as well, because they generally have to come up with some pretty, like, especially these days, I've seen some interviews that they do for IT guys now. It's literally a live interview where they're wallpapering you with problems, and you have to solve them on the fly.
Right.
Kind of like trading, right?
Yeah.
It's like, here's an issue. This is what I need you to do with this code. Do it now in front of me.
Yes.
It's difficult, right? So yeah, it's possible for certain people, but just try to stick on a higher time frame until you can develop slowly to read the market in
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, I think it's the case for most, but I think having a candle developing, oscillate up and down, is far easier on the mind than having a series of red candles moving against your trade, right?
Yeah.
So basically, by moving to the higher time frame, you actually are slowing down your ability to to process everything that's being brought.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like putting a slow motion button on everything.
Yeah.
And size of stops as well. The smaller
Yeah.
the stop and the larger the position, the more sensitive your position is against any move. I am on a micro here, so I mean I'm risking nothing. It's like 50 $50. But, if I were to want to stay in longer here, like let's say I want to give it more room, I would probably use the initial balance as my kind of swing trade invalidation point rather than VWAP.
Right.
And in that case, my stop would go into a more of a swing
structure.
size. Yeah, so it would be like 28.77.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be here. It would be all the way down here somewhere, right?
Yeah.
But that's a different time frame. That's like I might be expecting to hold gold all day or 2 days, swing trade.
Right.
Okay, we're touching VWAP again here.
Yeah.
So if we break down below 81, where's my stop? It's there anyways, yeah. Okay, so this stop is my invalidation point. So I'll just leave it at that. So yeah, Asia low. See that? Asia low causing trouble.
Yep.
But let's see, because on my chart, bizarrely, I have VWAP a little bit lower. I don't know why that is.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I have it at 28.81. I've just realized that. But anyways, that is it. So VWAP is now problematic around Asia low.
Yes.
So now we're looking at a failed auction, actually, potential. But I'm not going to be doing that because this is now London and gold doing London things, being very annoying. All right, guys. So I'm going to finish it up here. Let's just see if we have a couple more questions. Desmond says, 10 points wasted. Well, no, you wasted 40 points catching it on the way up, surely. Like, wasted in what way, man? Like, I don't get that mentality, Oh, I've wasted 10 points. What? Getting paper cuts on the way down, and that's not a waste. I would rethink that mindset, After VWAP gives great confirmation but not great price. No, you get great price at VWAP. Like most of the transactions will touch VWAP and then either start there or pick up speed through it. So that's kind of the idea, right? If you have an area where you're assaulting VWAP from the other side, like for example, copper was doing that. Copper's finally made a move. So okay, my setup is setting up. Finally. So let's have a look at copper. So here we go.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. Here is this. This is where we were looking in gold, actually, and it didn't quite happen. So, but it's the same setup. You get to VWAP, and then it accelerates through it.
Yep.
That's the expectation of VWAP. That's what Coach Paul and Coach Jay say, urgency trade, right? Usually when you have market opening around VWAP and then picks up speed. That's the point. So this is the same trade that we were looking at gold on the other side. So now I have that. I can actually look for pullbacks in copper. This is the trade that I wanted to do. So yeah, but I'm not going to be on the live stream for that, unfortunately. All right, so Desmond, I would change this idea that you have to catch every tick and that, oh, it's going to be 10 ticks wasted. Wasted on what? And you know, doing paper cuts on the way down, that's not a waste.
Yeah, I mean, it requires capital to make capital, right?
Yeah.
And we take calculated risks.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still at the end of the day, it's still risk.
Yeah.
Right.
It's always a risk. Yeah. It's a risk business. But it's just, you know, always intrigues me when people are looking at it from like sort of trader math side. Oh, I wasted 10 ticks if I wait for the market to show me the way. Oh, but it's not a waste doing 3 or 4 trades on the way down. Oh, that's not a waste, but this is a waste, is it? So we need to glue ourselves away from some like normal ways of thinking. You know, all of us who are doing this, we're a little bit outside of the norm. And we have an almost like an opposite way of thinking. You know, more hours worked does not mean more money. More trades done does not mean more money for most people, right? Quite the opposite. Ray talked about it earlier. You know, chasing trades on the way down is wasteful rather than waiting until the market actually shows you the way and then you go in with what you're seeing.
Right.
That's not a waste. It's a calculated risk. The other thing is clicking buttons. Oh, it's going to turn around. Oh, it's going to turn around. Oh, it's going to turn around. Oh, shit. So, yeah. All right. Do you use initial balance from previous sessions? No, Hogue does, because that's like the late spike thing and all of that. But sometimes I do. It's a case-by-case thing, but most of the time I would just look at the current day's regular trading hour session or the current active session. What about you, Ray? Do you use...
Same. I focus on the active.
Yeah.
I'm not even, I mean, I have it on my charts, but I don't use it necessarily for anything.
Yeah, same. I will have it sort of on, you know, I can see it from the previous
day.
day.
Yeah, but I don't necessarily set alerts around it or.
Yeah. I mean, maybe if we start to accept the previous initial balance, you know, that could be kind of like a value acceptance. Yeah, it's the same idea. But generally just mainly current session. And final question, where is your VWAP anchored? What is it, Globex for you? Because it is for me, right?
Yeah, I mean, whatever the syndicate, I haven't set it to anything, so it's
So it's not anchored, so it's just overnight.
Not anchored at all. I'll on occasion, I like as part of analysis, I like to understand what London has done.
Yeah.
So a way to understand what London has done in my New York session, I will, you know, add an anchored VWAP, right? And that gives me another level of understanding without understanding, so to speak. You're right. With a simple way of understanding what London was trying to do with the market.
Yeah.
Right.
I will sometimes anchor it, like if I'm looking for a swing trade somewhere, I will anchor it to the swing low. So that's like a larger time frame. So for example, if this, or a swing high, let's say in this case, because this is copper. Yeah, so we obviously had, you know, we popped into a new higher high, but now we're selling off because it was such a massive move. So if we go down to an intraday time frame, obviously there's this pop that Asia did, or actually it was start of Eurex, and then you can anchor the VWAP to the high. So I'm just going to change that. And then you have a reference point. So if we never go above that area, then you have a good chance of that, you know, reversal staying. But if it starts to track back into overnight VWAP and this anchored VWAP from the highs, that means you're probably not looking at a reversion. You're probably looking at more upside with a bit of a slowdown. That's why I was looking for a break first before I start looking for my shorts. And like clockwork, you know, obviously I'm going to be probably getting my copper trade at some point in the next 2 hours. So just missing the stream. But it is what it is. We can't wait for the market to move where we want it to move, right? It just moves when It wants to
It wants to move. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to finishing up here. Welka says, really love your morning session, spot on, better than evening streaming, which is crazy. There's a lot of value in the evening streaming. Don't knock it, right? All right, so we're gonna finish it up. Thank you for hanging with us. I do think that I'm on today. I need to check my schedule. Probably for lunchbox trading, if I got that right. So you will see more of me later today. Ray, thank you so much for hanging.
Yeah,
I
no
really
problem.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can get some sleep after this. It's very, very late at Ray's part of the world.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, thank you for hanging with us. We will see you again next week because I don't do streams on Fridays. Until then, let's take it slow. If you've had some profits for the week, don't mess it up because it's Thursday. This is not the time to start doing messy, stupid things. And, give it all back before the weekend. The worst thing you can do. So slow down, size down, and let's see what the day brings. This has been TopstepTV, the London session. I'm Marcus Stalker D, and that was Coach Ray. Yeah. Take care.
All right.